Okay, there we go. Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, Niema can't be with us today. She is in the Canadian woods and she's fighting bears. So, have fun, Niema. But as you know, if I'm live, it is for a very good reason. And today, it is an extremely good reason. So, as you guys know, it's been a good while since we've had someone on from across the seas. Today, we're changing that in a very big way as well. Coming to us from the House of Smoke, about to drop some voodoo knowledge for all of us here, the granddaddy himself, Papa Smoke, Ed Morrow.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's an honour to have the opportunity to actually show people another side to me that's not just about venom and about the beef. And just before we get started, a special shout out to Mama Smoke, who has been my rock over these past couple of years. It's been tough in the magic industry. And also, again, a special shout out to my brothers and sisters in the House of Smoke that's been very supportive, especially towards the new ventures we're moving towards growth.
Right on. And I told Ed before we went live, I love his hat. And honestly, guys, is that not the most awesome hat ever? It's just so good. It's so cool.
It's standard uniform for a bokor. You see, a bokor is supposed to resemble an undertaker in the way that we serve the Gede primarily. So we mainly work with the spirits of death. Now, the Hugo Boss top is excusable because the spirits of death are also spirits of fine things. So you can wear designer and get away with it. But if I was to wear something silly along with this, then it's kind of mocking and you wouldn't get away with it. But it's appropriate, especially in the topics we're going to cover, for me to appear in my work clothes. And this is how I appear before the altar with them. If I appear any other way before the altar with them, it's disrespect. I can't just rock up in my kicks and my t-shirt and go, "Yo, Luau, do me a favor."
Okay,
like, "Yo, what you doing?"
And that's a big thing though when it comes to voodoo. Respect. Like, have respect for who you're communicating with, and they will respect you back, and might do what you're asking or requesting. So you mentioned you're a bokor. So actually, before we get into that, how did you yourself get into voodoo? How did you become a bokor?
Now, this is quite a crazy story. Quite a few years ago, probably over a decade now, I don't exactly remember. But this was actually also my first astral experience. I used to be cage fighting in an organization called BAMA, British Association of Mixed Martial Arts. I held a gun license. I was pretty much very physical and carnal and very much in this now. And the only things I feared, because I believed in spirits, I had spiritual experiences, only things I feared were things I couldn't kill. And which spirits, for example, and this made me absolutely fascinated with them. And one night I had this, what I would as a mundane have called a near-death experience, but now I understand it was an astral experience and a visit from a deity, where this creature kind of thing in sort of a trench coat with a top hat, dressed like an undertaker, ripped me out of my body, and I saw myself floating above my body, and I saw my asleep body in my bed, and I thought, I'm dead. And I says to him, "Am I dead?" And he laughed at me. And he says, "No, you're not dead." And he held his hand out. He says, "Not yet." He says, death finds us all, but this is not your day. And he held his hand out and says, "You can come with me, but you need to leave your fear behind." Probably referring to obviously the fear of spirits and stuff at the time. Something inside me told me I could trust this spirit. So I took his hand, and then we disappeared off, and it felt like I was with him for days, but I were only with him for like an 8-hour sleep cycle. And he taught me numerous things, and he told me numerous things. And one of the things he told me was to look for him in the real world, in the mundane world, and he would bring somebody to teach me. So I couldn't, being in England, there isn't just like a vaudouissant on the end of the street. You can't go to like Papa Midnight's voodoo club like you can in Constantine. Nah. So I had to look around the internet. So I was searching and searching and searching for this reference to these spirits. And I found a few references because there's more than one Gede and they all look similar. And eventually I came across my teacher. And at first I thought she was a scammer. because she come to me with what if I said this to you and you didn't know me, you'd think I was a scammer. She come to me and she said, listen, the spirits have told me I have to teach you Vodou. Yeah, I have to initiate you and teach you Vodou. Alarm bells ringing. First question I asked her, how much is this going to cost me? Nah, nothing. It's a deal I've got with the spirit. So at this point, I thought, something for nothing. Cool. So then I started to pay attention to her, started to listen to her and learn, and manifestations started to happen. And it was exactly what I'd done. I'd gone to search for him in the mundane world, like he'd said, and he'd already gone to somebody else and said, listen, I need you to teach this guy, show him how it goes and stuff like that. He probably did some sort of pact with her. She probably got some sort of benefit out of it. I don't know, but she gave me 3 to 5 years of tuition. And then when I started working professionally, she was working alongside me. I'd say, I've got this job to do. And she'd made sure I'd do everything correctly. And if there was any sort of mistake, she'd put it right for me anyway for years after that. I mean, I practice on my own now, but this is essentially how I came into Boko. A hell of a frightening experience, to be honest with you. I'm not afraid to say, because I was mundane back then, that when I saw myself asleep in the bed and I was floating above it, that I was terrified. I'm not afraid to say that. And when you see someone that's similar to how you perceive death in a mundane way, a skeletal figure, the alarm bells ring. So, I'm not afraid to say that that was terrifying. And of course, anyone's going to ask him, am I dead? But that, yeah, it was a heavy experience. It was a real experience. And what made me, I thought I was mental at first because it was really hard. It took me months to do this search. But when she met me and spoke to me, she told me and described to me the experience I'd had with him without me telling her. So then, A, I knew I wasn't mental, and B, I knew she was for real.
Wow.
Because I didn't tell no one about that because I thought they'd think I was crazy. So
I mean, I can understand. Unfortunately, crazy and the paranormal supernatural cult kind of goes hand in hand, unfortunately.
A little unhinged, don't you?
But wow. So do you think that was Papa Gide or Baron Samedi?
It was Baron Samedi, my father Tet, the what's called the owner of your head. So there are 2 Luau that are destined to walk with everybody. Not everybody's destined to walk with Vodou, but regardless, you have 2 Luau assigned to you just in case. And in my case, my Mette is, and this will upset the Vodou community a lot because you're not really supposed to reveal the identities, and it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. A lot of the secrecy is based on things that are of the Luau, they're of man. My Mette's Met Carfu, which is the owner of your head. He governs most of my choices. And the reason I have a fiery and confrontational personality, and the reason I call out so much rubbish, is because my head is very much led by one of the most fiery Luau there is. And my father, my voice of reason, is Baron Samedi. And he was the one that approached me. Now, in the path of the Bokor, it's usually Baron Samedi that approaches people. Luau can approach you without you having your roads open. If you are destined to work with them, or if they want to, they can approach you. They're not bound by the rules of the crossroads like you are. If they want to tap you on the shoulder and go, yo, how you doing? Then they can.
Okay, so not to cut you off, because I know for when you're communicating with the Luau, or you have to usually ask permission from Papa Legba, right? Correct?
If you initiate the path working yourself, yes.
Okay.
If you're supposed to be in Vodou, what will happen is the Luau will approach you. It's still good to go through a road opening though, because if specific Luau approach you and your roads aren't open, then you're only really okay to work with that specific Luau because that's the one that's open and approaching you. Okay. Yeah. With regards to your roads being open, this means technically you could call down and work with and start serving any Luau that you like. They don't have to have approached you first. You can approach them, barring a couple of restrictions.
Okay, all right, that makes sense to me, because I was always told, like, no, you got to go through this way and you do it this way. But then if they approach you, I reckon it is different, and I suppose it's already some type of connection there between you and the Luau. So now most people, mostly Americans, we know of voodoo from Hollywood, which it's Hollywood. And a lot of the Hollywood voodoo, I would say, is based off of New Orleans style voodoo. And that brings us to this. What is the difference between West African voodoo, Haitian voodoo, and New Orleans style voodoo?
Okay, so this one's going to be a fairly long answer. Some of the answer, especially in regards to Haitian Vodou, may upset the Vodou community. But again, I'm not holding back any restrictions here. I don't believe in secrecy of information based on racist ideologies, to be honest with you. So we'll start with West African Vodou. West African Vodou can be arguably perceived by many as some of the roots of the traditional religion of Haitian Vodou. Some of the roots. The reason being is this is one of the oldest ways that the Luau was served and was originally done by the Dahomey, the Yoruba, and the Fon. These were ancient tribes in Africa. They primarily served Rada Lua and Nago Lua. And the system itself is extremely powerful and extremely potent if you find a practitioner that is genuine. You see, if you find a practitioner that's genuine, their tribe has been serving the Luau so strong that their familial bond with those spirits is immense. Yeah. But unfortunately, this kind of Vodou has been given a bad rap by online scammers. Yeah. This is the system referred to as IFA. Yeah. Practiced by Babalaos. Yeah. And I can tell you now, I'm a member of a lot of conjure groups out there. I advertise on them. Yeah. And every single IFA or Baba, well, IFA is the name of the system. So if someone calls themselves an IFA, they don't understand the system. So they're obviously a scammer in the first place. But every single Babalao online is fake, to be honest with you. And they give it a bad rap. And the reason they're fake is Babalaos are like communal shamans. They, in their community, they make enough money. They're like a witch doctor. Some people prefer them over medical professionals. So they're not very much online in the way that we are. They're very much in the community. In fact, it's part of the doctrine of their religion to serve the community. But they've been given a bad rap, but the system itself is extremely powerful, and it's where some of the roots of Haitian Vodou lie. Other parts of Africa are where other roots lie, like the Benin, where the Gede, the spirits of death, were served. The Congo and the slightly more, shall we say, hot-tempered parts are where the Petrollua and the Congo Lua are from. Now, when we're looking at Haitian Vodou, we're looking at a different system. We're looking at a system that wasn't primarily as it is now, wasn't made to get your lover back, wasn't made to make you rich. It was made for war. It was made to free an oppressed people from a superior armed force. It was made for war. Yeah. Now, the reason it all came together is it's all the systems from Africa and a lot of other systems from other parts of America, such as South America, like Brazil, like there's parts of Kimbonda in there, such as Native America, such as like Caribbean, there we go. And the reason this is because the slave, I mean, we're going to have to cover a bit of dark part of history here, but the slave drivers, yeah, they thought they'd be smart and put people from different countries and different continents together, thinking that the slaves wouldn't be able to communicate to organize a rebellion. Well, these people weren't stupid. Not only did they work how to communicate, but they learned how to amalgamate their spiritual crafts. For example, Native American crafts skinwalkers, a lupine spirit that shapeshifts and causes insanity, causes people to kill themselves or kill their family and then themselves. Exactly the same as what a loup-garou is in Vodou, and loup-garou means werewolf, which could fit the description of a skinwalker in its lupine form. So Haitian Vodou is an amalgamation of some extremely powerful old tribal crafts. The initial version, the pure version, was all warfare. It's extremely powerful, extremely dangerous. Other things were built into it later on to make it more malleable and more better for public consumption as it became a popular thing. But it was originally for spiritual warfare. Now, when we look at New Orleans Voodoo and Louisianan Voodoo, it was originally the same as Haitian Voodoo under the same circumstances. New Orleans was a port where there were a lot of oppressed slaves that went through. I believe Louisiana had a lot of agricultural land where there were a lot of oppressed slaves. So it was originally the same, but unfortunately it became that popular that it is now watered down and about 50% wrong. People of Haitian descent write books incorrectly based in New Orleans Voodoo, so people get it wrong and hurt themselves because they don't want, how can I say this? They don't want certain people accessing their spiritual beliefs and crafts because they believe it's cultural appropriation and we don't have a right to touch it. But my answer to that is if the Luau approach you and the Luau and Papa Legba opens the roads to you, then you do have a right. Because whether you have a right or not, it's of what the spirits say and not of what man says. And as somebody who hates racism myself as well, my answer to that is also if we all continue the cycle of hate, we're going to stick there. Yeah. Extremely bad, heinous things happened, right? But we do need to let go and move on as a human race together, rather than just hating on each other. There's a lot of knowledge we can share, and there's a lot of ways we can progress. And one of the things that the Vodou community aren't going to like now is an example of this. The French came when they took a lot of the Haitian slaves, and they were fascinated by Vodou, and their occultists came and they learned Vodou. But not only did they learn Vodou, they impressed their beliefs onto the Vaudouisants. And about 30-40% of Vodou is Solomonic magic, putting spirits in bottles and binding them with specific seals. We cover it with black velvet so you don't see, but it's Solomonic seals. You know, I mean, we've even incorporated European magic into Vodou. And like the whole Catholic system was incorporated into Vodou as well. And not just as a way to hide the worship of the working with the Lord and the saints of Psalms within ritual, but also some Vaudouisants do generally, not myself, but some Vaudouisants do generally believe in the Catholic system because in the Vodou creation story, there was one God, Bondier. But unlike in the Abrahamic system, Bondier didn't drown man when he got annoyed with them. He left and he created the Luau to watch his creation, and he got annoyed with us and abandoned us. So
Yeah. And
he's not powerful. I would say, I don't know, to be honest with you. There's a lot more variety in Haitian Vodou, but genuine practitioners of West African Vodou may have stronger relationships with the Luau. Louisianan Vodou and New Orleans Vodou in the state that it is, nowhere near, not a scratch.
Okay, so with New Orleans / Louisiana style voodoo, would you think it's just too much mixing and it's gotten away too far from its source?
That and too much playing for tourists, too much Hollywood and playing for tourists and stuff like that. For example, like I told you, Vodou was made into a system of warfare. Yeah, it wasn't made into a system of get my boyfriend back, make me rich and stuff like that. Now, I'm not mocking this kind of work. I make a lot of money doing this kind of work, so I'm not mocking this kind of work at all. But that isn't Vodou. But then again, if you want to quibble semantics, anytime you work with a spirit or serve them or build a relationship with them, that's Vodou, because direct translation is spirit work. But the New Orleans and Louisiana versions are watered down. And a couple of the spiritual traps I'll warn you of. Marinette Boisseche cannot be trusted. Do not serve that specific Luau from New Orleans Vodou. She is an intranquil spirit similar to Marinette Piedseche, but she is too intranquil. There is a higher risk of her harming you as well as your target, or you instead of your target. And Ezuli Dantor is seen as the patron of New Orleans and the patron of New Orleans Vodou and the patron of children. This is incorrect. She's incredibly protective of children, but every Haitian and every Bokor knows if you do her rights wrong, she will kill your kids. That's why I do not serve her, because I have 3 kids and I don't want to F up and have 2 kids.
Yeah,
Do you know
not
what
worth
I mean?
the risk.
No,
Now,
there are a lot.
why is she like that though?
She died in an intranquil manner. And she's a Petrollua, so Petrollua are a hot-tempered Luau. Hot-tempered Luau, if you don't do things perfect for them, they go from placid to nuclear bomb in the time it takes a Ferrari to hit 60. This is why the system's so dangerous. Petrollua, you have to understand how to talk to them, how to interact with them, how to deal with them. And most importantly, you can't chaos magic it. You have to do everything perfect, because if you don't, they punish you for it. Because if you work with a spirit of their magnitude, you're supposed to know what you're doing, so they assume that you do. With Petrollua, there is no I'm a beginner, sorry. With Radalua, yeah, fine. They're a cool-tempered, easygoing. With Gede, they might play a joke on you. But with Petrollua, it's literally playing with fire.
Yeah, and I know there's a few videos online, and I think people are absolutely crazy for doing certain things with Tijuan Petru. I know I'm saying that name wrong. I'm bad with names. And I know that they try stuff with him, and it's like, I wouldn't do that. You know, maybe nothing happens right now, but that doesn't mean something won't happen to you later when you forget about it. It's like, why did I break my leg? You know, it's like, you know why.
That's why. Exactly why. Tijuan Petro, so Little John of Petro, is Azuli Fledaz baby. They both died in an incredibly horrible manner. There was a rumor that Azuli Dantor was quite physical in the rebellion against the slaves, and there's stories that she was captured and tortured, and Tijuan was killed. Her tongue was cut out, which is why she makes clicking sounds and things. A lot of horrible stuff happened to her, which is why she's on the Petro side. Now Tijuan, he became deified with her. He died as an infant, so he has the morality and the understanding of an infant, but the power of a deity. Yeah. So when you call down and work with Tijuan, you have to understand how to guide him, because if you don't, or if you do it wrong, he'll tantrum, and if he tantrums, yeah, God help you, run.
And I shouldn't laugh at that, but
but it's true though.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, there isn't anywhere you can run. And if you do it wrong, run. And if he gets confused or something, you've basically got to be an advanced. I don't work with him. You've got to be an incredibly advanced practitioner, but you've got to be also patient. If you're somebody that's good at dealing with somebody was good at dealing with children or people with mental difficulties, you're of the right mindset to communicate with him. But you've got to be an advanced spiritual practitioner as well. He's not tricky. He's just childlike, and he doesn't understand what he's doing. Literally, he will kill without question because he doesn't know that that's bad. Mm-hmm. So if you want an obstacle removing, and that obstacle's a person, and you don't want anything too heinous to happen to that person, yeah, you would have to guide him through this process. Mm-hmm. But if guiding him through this process confuses him, he'll throw a tantrum and turn on you. So again, he's one I wouldn't work with, and I wouldn't recommend non-initiates work with him. Definitely, they're lucky that they don't know the correct ways, because certain Luau of certain magnitude, especially Luau like Tijuan, there are certain sacred songs to call them down, and a lot of the time, unless you're initiated, they will ignore you unless you're singing that song. So they're lucky that they're being ignored. Some Luau won't ignore you. Some like to be called and like to come, but Tijuan is one that's. There's certain layers of protection over certain dangerous Luau.
Now, so you mentioned that Tijuan Petro, he passed away again, bad with names. Azurli passed away, which is indicating that they were human. Were all Luau human?
No. Some of them were, and indeed, I'd argue the most powerful, dangerous Luau I work with was. Some of them were human, some of them weren't. Baron Samedi, he was human. He was a benevolent king, a tribal king in Africa. He was loved by his people. He was a good healer, a good shaman. And when he died, the love of the people that he basically served deified him. So Baron Samedi was human. The Azulis were both human. Well, the main Azulis, Azuli Freda and Azuli Dantor, they were both human. The one I was referring to, the most dangerous, baneful one, the intranquil spirit, Marinette Piedsesh. Marinette Piedsesh. Piedsesh means of the dry feet. The reason she's called Marinette of the dry feet is she was a very, very powerful Mambo, and she was witch burned. So Marinette of the dry feet, where does the fire get you first? So she was witch burned.
Real quick, for those who don't know, Mambo means female priestess, female voodoo priestess, so you guys can know, and Ungan is male priest. So just so you guys can know. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off like that, but
No problem. So she was a powerful sorcerer, a Mambo, female sorcerer. And she was witch burned. And obviously she died in an incredibly bad, painful manner. And the trauma behind this created the intranquil spirit that she now is. So some of them were human, some of them weren't. Ones of great magnitude, such as Metcalfu and Papa Legba, no, never human. Never human. Some like Dambala Wedo, never human, been there since the beginning of time, a part of the Vodou creation story. Some were, some weren't.
Now, would you say that the Lua are our ancestors?
Well, the ones that used to be human, somebody's ancestors, but I wouldn't say they're everybody's ancestors.
Not everyone's.
When Vaudouisants serve their ancestors, they serve their ancestors. It's different to serving the Lua.
Okay.
Ancestral or familial spirits. If in Vodou it's believed that when you die, one of the paths you can take is you can come back as an ancestral spirit. And to do this, you can come back and serve your family as an ancestral spirit, especially if they venerate you on your altar. But you don't necessarily have to visit your ancestors either. There are spirits that visit Vodou communities in Haiti that they bind into special little urns that give the communities advice and stuff like that, and they ain't nobody's ancestors. They're just there. But they're referred to as ancestral spirits because they're dead humans from before.
Okay.
But in Vodou, you can serve those kind of spirits, or you can serve your ancestors directly. And if you serve your ancestors directly, they can give you benefits, but there is a negative side to this. As with serving any spirit, research your ancestors. I've had to do exorcisms before on people who had done nothing but venerate their ancestors. But it turns out that one of their ancestors, he used to be a kiddie fiddler, didn't he? So the spirit will come in and mess him with their daughter.
Oh, wow.
It was a family secret as well. They all knew. And I said, when you know something like that, you don't venerate that motherfucker. What the hell are you doing? Because you're bringing that spirit's influence into your microcosm. That spirit's sense there were kids there. It's got energy off being venerated, and it's like, right, let's go. I'm me again. Because it's the same when you do any sort of spirit work. When you get a zombie, because zombie aren't necessarily dark and evil like what people assume they are all the time. Zombie just means spirit contracted for work, What work that does depends on what that person was like in life. You want a baneful spirit, then you go and get a spirit of a psycho killer. But if you want one to go out and find you work, you go get a spirit of a property tycoon or a millionaire or something like that. You know what I mean? It depends. And you've got to do your research with these spirits. When you bring, even if it's ancestors or family, when you bring a spirit in your microcosm, you've got to know everything about them, especially stuff like that. If it's an uncomfortable family secret, don't venerate them. If your family are moaning that they're not being venerated, say, well, it's a nonce, go away. I'm not venerating that. I'm not having that in my house.
You see, you taught me something new. I did not know that. It taught me something completely new.
Yeah, because they can come back with the same proclivities they had in life.
Wow.
So this is why when we do baneful work, we get the spirit of a psycho killer. We get grave dirt from that because they're going to come back as a nutter. That's sending an insane spirit into someone's microcosm, hence the hex.
Wow.
This is why. So depends on what the spirit was like in life. Depends on what the zombie will be like. There are ones that are purely baneful. They're called vampires, and they exist to drain life force energy from people and to kill. These either some of them are human, some of them aren't human. You guys refer to them as shadow people. But they're vampires, the ones that give you sleep paralysis and try and terrify you and appear 8 foot tall in a room and that. We can put those on people with Vodou. They cause negative hauntings, and usually they will wear you down enough to make you really sick and stuff like that, and can even cause death in some situations if they've got enough energy and they're given the right opportunity. Vampire are extremely dangerous and something only Bokors do. Certain dark things we discuss here, like when we discussed Marinette earlier, only Bokors serve Marinette. Marinette's actually seen as a no-no spirit in the Orthodox religion of Vodou.
Yeah.
If you were to say to a Hungan or Mambo that you served Marinette, they would be very shocked. They'd probably disbelieve you, to be honest with you, but they'd be very shocked.
Yeah, because from what I understand with her, she could be harsh, right? But it's for a reason. It's not just I'm going to be a prick to be a prick. It's for a reason, especially because of what happened with her, how she passed. And I was told that part of the reason why she's hard on people is to show that you can break your limits, break the shackles that are keeping you down. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's something I was told.
Indeed, yeah. And this is represented. I don't know if you've seen the video where I've got the statue of her out, the video that I did. And on the statue, she's got severed chains. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She broke her own chains. So when she first died and became deified, she wanted revenge. She was that dangerous that the Luau chained her. She broke them. That's symbolic of this. And a lot of people don't understand the positive side of working with Marinette Piatesh. But yes, she does challenge you. When she comes into all, this is how you can tell a true Bokor as well. She comes into all the lives of a true Bokor. She's on the path of Sampuel. You cannot be a Bokor and not work with her. If you're a Bokor and you don't work with her, you're a liar or you're delusional. Because she's on the path of Sampuel. That is the path you walk as a Bokor. There ain't no little skirts around her. So I tried to put it off for a long time because she's got a bad reputation. And I felt for a while I was too young in my craft to work with her. So about 3 years ago, this war, her way around that, not just to come to me in dreams and pester me, was to send clients with big wads of money for work, demanding the tranquil spirit at times when I was poor and needed it. So unfortunately, I had to embrace her. But this is what she does. She will push you to go beyond your limits and work with her. Because at the time, that was a limit I'd set for myself. It was a conscious psychic block I'd made. I'm not ready to work with her. And she was like, right, we're going to break that. You are ready to work with me. You're giving me the respect I deserve already. So, yeah, she has to approach you. She's very, very powerful. However, be careful what you say to her. And be careful what deals you do with her. There's an instance I regret, to be honest with you. I paid her to protect my children. Certain threats were made against my children and certain actions were taken against my children. And the only credible person out of the lot of them that had the potential of manifesting what they'd threatened is no longer with us. I regret that, to be honest with you. I feel absolutely terrible about it. This is Dark Magic 101, people. Learn it from a professional, yeah? Before you put it out there, make sure you can live with it.
Yeah, because every action has a consequence.
It does. Every action has a consequence. And what really kicked me about that situation is the day before she did what she did, we made peace. I even said to him, I'm really sorry, there's some things in motion that I can't stop. Because that's another thing with her. Once you set her going, she's insane. You can't stop her.
But in a strange way, it's a lesson that you learned as well in a so very strange way, because now it's going to force you to, even though you're going to protect no matter what, that's your job as a father, you're going to protect, but
yeah, indeed, yeah.
You're also going to make sure, like, do I need to go this route? Is it this, so, but I'm sorry that you had to deal with that.
I guess the analogy is I thought I were reaching for a taser, but I ended up with a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
But so that's the reality and danger of Vodou, though. People think this stuff is exaggerated to sell stuff. No, it's really not. It's the Luau are incredibly powerful, and I don't know, the left-handed path community might troll me for saying this, but I believe one of the reasons is these spirits weren't bound by Solomon like the way that the demons are. Because I've had a lot of negative encounters with a lot of people from the left-hand path, and well, if they're all real, then the specific spirits they employ can't be a patch on the Luau, to be honest with you. And to be honest, I don't think they are. The Luau weren't bound in any way by anybody. So they don't exist just on the lower astral like demons or just on the upper astral like angels. They exist in all worlds and are fully present in all worlds at all times. In fact, just saying their name can pique their attention.
I'll have to remember that, because I do say some names, mostly from the Rada, but I will remember.
Yeah, certain ones, especially from the Petrollua, are blasphemy to say in a certain type. Like there are certain Luau that are self-important. such as Met Carfu, my Met, the owner of the crossroads, is incredibly important, and he knows how important he is. So it's seen in the traditional religion as saying his name just out of turn, as
Yeah, and
almost like
he's
blasphemy.
one of the people I will never say his name. Part of it is out of fear, the other part is out of respect because I know what he's about. And I think that's also where a lot of misconceptions come from in regards to voodoo is, the with the petro, some of them, like you said, they're hot tempered and they don't want to be disrespected. And if they know how important they are and you're making fun of them, it's like you're gonna get got, as they say. And and I think it mostly, and this isn't just with voodoo, I think it's with any type of thing you're dealing with in the occult. I think it comes down to respect.
Yeah.
um
I've
s-
had a lot of success working with other spirits in the way that I work with Lua. So specifically the demons. The new book I'm working on now, it's called Demonic Hoodoo. Um, my understudy Lucifer is writing um, profiles on them 'cause she knows a lot more about them in terms of profiles than I do, and I'm evoking them and getting low magic root works for whatever intention I can with them. And I'm finding that treating them in the way that I treat Lua, as in giving them offerings, speaking to them respectfully, sort of paying them for the knowledge and calling them down respectfully as instead of demanding them to come now and all sorts of stuff like that, I'm finding more results than that. In fact, I'm finding the results are that crazy that I've got gnosis coming from demons that I haven't even approached yet because they're saying, come to me, come to me. But they're on it. They just keep coming to me. I mean, that's not relevant to the voodoo thing, but it's relevant
well,
to how I treat the Loa is how I treat other spirits, and I have the same level of results through doing that.
okay, that's awesome. Like, I think that's the way it should be done. Because in Western society, and this is funny, I said this in a review I just did, or after the review, whatever, it doesn't matter when I said it, but we have a weird way of communicating with spirits, deities, energies, whatever you want to call them. And it's usually not very respectful. It's very demanding and like, I have control over you. You listen to me, even though
Mhm.
you're millennia old and seen God knows what, but you listen to me. It's like, oh, all right.
It's based on things like the Grand Grimoire and Solomonic magic, but what people don't understand about that is if you look at it in the most strictest terms of the texts, of the original text, not the rewritten texts, Solomon himself had divine authority. Yeah. So he was able to speak to the spirits like that because he had divine authority to do so. We do not. So we have to make deals with them. That's how I see it anyway. So this is what I do. Like with the Luai, it's very transactional. We do have what we call action de grace, which is where we make offerings to them in certain specific ways on their days of the week as paying respect to them. I call them just because I love your presence. Because we don't ask for anything for it. We just give them because we're building a relationship up with them. We want them in our lives and we're thankful for their presence. So these are called actions de grace. We do this sort of thing, like give them offerings and stuff like that. This is how magic should be done. Because unless you do have the authority of a divinity to command these forces, commanding these forces is either going to get you laughed at or slapped or ignored.
And you just taught me something new again that I never thought about. Just communicating without wanting anything, without needing anything, and just saying thank you for helping me when you do, and here, please take it. You know, I never thought about it like
Exactly.
that.
Think about it in terms of life, yeah? If I were your friend, yeah, and I only spoke to you when I wanted to borrow $20, yeah, you'd stop taking my calls eventually, wouldn't you?
Mm.
Because you'd think that dude only wants me for this. Do you know what I mean? So it's the same with spirits. So this is why we give them. People think I'm an alcoholic because I work with a lot of rum, but no, it's manners. This is the drinks the spirits want. And when you have a guest in your home, you offer them a drink. You don't let them go dry mouthed. You only let them go dry mouthed if they say they don't want to drink. So this is why in Vodou our altars sometimes look like dinner tables. They'll have food on, they'll have drink on because you treat them like a guest. You're supposed to treat them like you're receiving royalty in a way. You give them exactly what they want, how they want it, in the way they want it. And this is part of the respect as well, but this also draws them. It draws them to you because certain things they like. They like Papa Legba loves the smell of chicken. Mama Smoke, my girlfriend, she makes this chicken that Papa Legba likes so much. He granted the road opening for her just on the taste of the chicken.
Wow.
Um, so
Send
it's
some of
you've
that
got to
chicken
treat it
my
like
way,
a guest and
please.
stuff like that. And we do this with the demons as well. When we work with the demons and we have them here, or we work with the angels and have them here, we give them what they want. Now it's a bit strange with the angels. They're not. There's not that much that they want. In order to give, they don't drink for a start, so you can't say, "Yo, what's your favorite tipple?" Do you know what I mean? So there's not that much that they want, but there are some Luau that are similar to that. Because Danger of Vodou, for example, will only appear if your whole house is surgically hospital level clean, and you are spiritually clean, and you are mentally clean. So, like, I've been drinking a beer while we've been talking. Danger of Vodou would not come, even though I'm still sober. He'd be like, "Nah, man, fuck that. You've had alcohol, ain't coming." So there are some Luau that are similar to angels in that way, but most of them generally like a good tipple or something like that.
Okay. So there is a question for you from chat, and this is from, oh, I'm going to butcher this name. Sorry in advance, but Marius Baltazar Rosenberg Holizanski. As good as it's going to get. And
Very close, I know. Yeah.
he wants to know, what can you tell us about La Madama or Madama spirits?
Not a right lot, to be honest with you. You've got to understand when working in Vodou, there are different kinds of currents of Vodou, and there are over 172 different Luau. A Boko or a Mambo or Hungan only serve 10 to 12 in their lifetime, and that particular nation is not in the nation of the Luau I serve. So if they are Luau Marek, unfortunately, there's not much I can tell you about them. But this is a common thing for Vaudouisants, to be honest with you. It's not like Goetium. You don't learn all 72 and become a master of them. You learn the ones you make your team strong. So you learn the ones that you need to do what you need to do within life. And this is because you enter certain pacts and agreements with these that are quite demanding. And if you take too many on, then, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. And working with 10 to 12 different ones and taking 10 to 12 on is pretty demanding as it is.
Now, I'm actually happy you said that because I wanted to get into the families and if they can work together, the different families of Luau can, let's say, let me think, can a, oh gosh, I'm going blank because I want to say something, but give me a name. Just give me someone from different families.
Ooh. Examples of ones that you'd get away with, things like Nago and Rada. For example, Ogun Farai is married to Azuli Fleda. So they gel together harmoniously, yeah? So you could pair them up on some sort of work, I don't know, Ogun to remove blockages and Azuli Fleda for love drawing. So he'll remove your blockages from your love life and she'll bring you your lover, yeah? Or Papa Legburn Ogun Farai. Because Papa Legba can open the roads for success to come and Ogun can remove blockages that are in your way. But you can't mix certain ones because they're jealous as hell or they don't get on. With Vodou, the key to successfully doing Vodou and not hurting yourself is the same to successfully doing any spiritual craft and not hurting yourself. Every energy, every spirit, every ingredient, and every intention needs to gel harmoniously with each other, with the intention of the work and with the person it's been done on in order for a successful manifestation to take place. There are some Luau that are not harmonious with each other. Balon Samdi and Azuli Fleda hate each other. Azuli Fleda, your typical prim, proper princess kind of type person. Balon Samdi, your typical rude, drunken, smoking, drugged up kind of. But do you know what I mean? They don't get on. They clash. Yeah. Marinette Piedsesh, extremely jealous. Jealous to the fact that when you work with her, anything to do with any other spiritual path whatsoever, even if it's just a fucking painting that's not even charged, hidden. Otherwise, she'll go nuts. Metcalfu, extremely jealous. Those can't be brought. Usually, Petrollua don't play nice with others at all. With the exception of Azuli Dantor and the Gede, Azuli Dantor seems to get on with Balon Samdi. I don't know whether that's just to piss her sister off because she doesn't like him or whatever, but she seems to get on with him and be harmonious with him. But the answer to that is technically yes, but safely no. Because unless you really know what you're doing, unless you know the proclivities of each lure, or you're a full physical medium, it's dangerous as hell. Because if you try to do it, they'll protest. So if you're a full physical medium, you can perceive them protesting and stop. Or if you know they don't go together, then you know not to do it. The only ways you can safely try is if you're a full physical medium, or you know which ones are harmonious and which ones aren't.
Okay, and it must take decades to find out who can work with who, and yeah, better off just sticking with one family and learn all you can about them and what flows with you instead of trying to mix and match and do all that weird stuff.
This is why we only serve 10 or 12 at a time. We serve those 10 or 12 because we know those 10 or 12 like we know ourselves. We know who they're harmonious with, who they're not harmonious with, what they can be used to help with, what they can't be used to help with. Marlon Samdi, for example, is a spiritual Swiss Army knife, especially for the kind of work I get. It can do love work, it can do lust work, it can do baneful work, it can do money work, it can do court case work, it can do fast luck work, it can do gambling luck work, it can empower spiritual jewelry from protection. You know what I mean? It can do necromancy, and that's just one lure. In fact, that's the Bokors primarily serve Bagon Samdi, A, because of his versatility, but B, because he's quite forthcoming with information.
Now,
In fact, he's that forthcoming sometimes. He'll talk in your head when you're not wanting him to say you're in the middle of saying. He'll be...
now I'm curious about this. Why not Papa Gede?
Papa Gede, I do serve, but he is extremely powerful, extremely dangerous, and frightens every spirit in creation ever. Papa Gede is one of these spirits that can actually 100% destroy something. And what I mean by this is not its physical form, it can consume the spiritual form so it no longer exists. And this is Papa Gede's favorite meal, our spirits and spiritual energy. Papa Gede can be worked with in exorcisms. I can't name him, but a good friend of mine who's an occult practitioner that's been under attack a lot had me perform an exorcism on him with Papa Gede. I physically saw Papa Gede rip the entity out of this gentleman through his crown chakra, rip it back through the crossroads while he was kicking and screaming. Papa Gede is literally the daddy of the dead, and that is no
joke.
Overestimation. He is he's the person Baron Samdi reports to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is, as far as the Lords of the Dead go, there is no higher, there is no stronger. But he's incredibly strict about certain things. And like I said, if you're a person, if you're a spirit keeper, for example, and you like to collect spirits and you like to work with them and have them around you, yeah, he'll eat them. He will eat them all. So I only work with him when I really need to be honest with you. He intimidates all other spirits and stuff like that. And there's only certain things that can be worked with. One of the darker aspects of things that can be worked with, something I've not personally done yet, although I've got a good idea for a target for it. It's called soul snatching. So turning someone into a zombie. This doesn't have to be like Hollywood. You don't have to give people certain powders and drug them up and get them into a state where people think they're dead and then dig them up and they're suggestible. No, you can just have Papa Gede snatch their soul and they'll just be catatonic for the rest of their life because they've got no soul. This is one of the things he can be worked with as well. Like I said, he consumes spirits. When he snatches your soul, he will eat it. So he will potentially eat you before you die, and he can do this. I've not needed to work with him for things. I know you guys perceive me as being in a lot of beef and being in a lot of negative situations, but trust me, if the magic tricks I employed were a sexual organ, they've only had the tip. I'm only messing. They haven't had anything serious yet. Papa Gede is kind of the things that's capable of the serious things. You know what I mean? When you start seeing people catatonic, drooling on themselves, that's when you know he's been out to play.
Okay. And we need to get a direct quote of that. I need to put you on a poster. I've only given you the tip. So someone make that. That's great.
I said that to Curtis once, and I think he choked laughing at me.
So that's awesome. Now I'm gonna go into a little bit of a story time because I think a good friend of mine, he's passed away now, accidentally invoked Baron Samedi, and it was 100% accident. It wasn't being disrespectful or anything like that. And I want your opinion on this. So this happened years ago now, and like we were speaking about voodoo, and I was telling him about Baron Samedi and his colors, and what he's like, the gay day, that they could be fun loving and sexual and all that good stuff. And he was doing a little bit of research, and I guess it really took to him for some reason. And it's crazy because he told me later that night, he, for whatever reason, he had purple and white candles he lit up. He had alcohol. I think it was, I don't know if it was tequila or rum. And he was with his wife and everything. And it's like something just hit both of them. And they were smoking a little weed. And next thing you know, like, he told me it was the best time of his life and he doesn't know where it came from. But then after that, he went to work and he remembers seeing an image of someone, and it was freaking him out. And it's like, what the? It was a tall black man, he was saying, and he had a hat, and he remembers a face kind of like a skull. And a coworker of his, I don't know, I guess she saw the same thing, or she saw someone like that, and she showed him a picture of what she saw, and it was Baron Samedi. What do you think about that? Do you think it's possible that he somehow showed up and, let my friend get some action, or what happened there?
Yeah, it's very possible. Some of the Luau don't necessarily always stick to the orthodox rules of the roads are supposed to be open before they're communicated with. And Baron Samedi is one that's known to violate these rules quite often. To me, he's a people person, but to be honest with you, and he's going to curse at me for this, but he's an utter pervert as well. To be honest with you, he's an utter pervert. Like, for example, I had a female guest in my kitchen once, and she was dancing, and he just touched her from behind. He just straight touched her bum. The way she reacted as well, you could tell she wasn't faking it, because the way she reacted, it was if he was out in a nightclub and someone had grabbed her bum. She went, woo! So it was kind of like that. He's a complete perv. So he could initiate sexual situations as well. When you said smoking weed, it's one of the things he asked me for a lot. So he asked me to share that with him a lot of the time. Spirits themselves can be attracted to your fixation with them. In fact, it's one of the stages of possession, is infatuation. So when you become infatuated by a spirit, you psychically or subconsciously call to that spirit. It's just on that particular day, Baron Samedi was in the mood to answer, and obviously liked the look of his lady friend.
Yeah, tall redhead, so...
Well, he is quite... Well, he only generally goes for attractive women, so he's quite picky as well. He's not picky as towards skin color and stuff like that. All that's fallacy, but he is picky towards attractive women. He usually goes for attractive women that take care of themselves.
Okay, so interesting. And you mentioned skin color and everything, and let's be honest, Ed, you're white. And
yep,
it's kind of weird. What are you doing in this? No, actually, have you, though? Because I'm assuming you have you dealt with prejudices and racism from people who are probably African or Haitian or dark like me, because you are a Bakur and you are practicing voodoo and people are coming to you?
Oh yeah, indeed. It's a mixed bag. Some are open to it, some aren't. The thing is, like I said before, I don't stick to what's of man. I go by what's of the spirits. The spirits approached me and invited me, and I accepted that invite. And what I do to piss all the haters off is I post my results. Because if I wasn't supposed to work with the Luau, yeah, right, then why do I get consistent manifestations from people I've never met before? People from the other side of the world hire me, who don't know me, who don't know my friends, who've never met me before, come back to me, tell me they've got exactly what they paid for and they want more work. If you think about this logically, yeah, why would a complete stranger who's already given me a ton of money, yeah, say it worked and they want more if it didn't. And if this has happened so many times, and I mean, the reviews I share each year are fresh reviews for that year. If I shared every review I'd had since I were professionally started, I'd get shut down for spamming. Literally, at first, I had the same sort of reservations. I thought I was going crazy, literally, because I thought I don't belong in this system. But then again, I've had a lot of like African and Jamaican friends. And in fact, when I was young and caught, I were a straight A student under a lot of pressure. And I got caught smoking weed and I got thrown out by my parents at about 14-year-old. Yeah. And I was took in by Jamaicans and Africans. So actually, I see them as more like family than the ones that threw me out for falling on hard times. So I don't know, because I think I'm supposed to be in this system. I were invited into this system, and like I said, I've got people that are of Jamaican and of African descent that are classed as family. They're not family by blood and they're not family by name, but they call me brother. I call them brother, and we damn mean it. I'm the godson to their godfather to their kids. But it's a system where the spirits invited me, and they sent a Mambo to me, and the Mambo I had no problem with it. It's not a cultural thing. It's not something that's restricted to a race. The Luau were left here by Bondier to watch over all man. Yeah. It's just for some reason, African spiritualists became open to them and smart to them. Yeah. You have to be open in a certain extent and you have to be following the path of the Bokor to even channel a Veve. So there are 172 known Luau. There are a hell of a lot more Luau that are unknown. There are some that are known, but only known by specific houses and kept secret. So there are well more than 172. You have to be a Bokor of a certain caliber to be able to channel a Veve. It's not like channeling a sigil from a demon. You have to be of a certain caliber, a certain ability to channel a Veve from a spirit that you don't know and things like that. And this has been done by people all over the world. It's not necessarily the Luau aren't there to just look after one race. They're there to look after everybody. It's just the Africans and the Haitians and the Jamaicans and things were more open to perceiving and working with these specific spirits, probably because the other parts of the world were locked into Abrahamic systems that forbidded these things.
Yeah, I was about
they would
to
have been
say,
seen as false idols, wouldn't they, and burnt.
Yeah, I was about to say it's possibly because, you know, the Abrahamic belief system, it didn't spread to that part of the world just yet. You know, it got there much later, all things considered. But do you think that Bondier, do you think he will return one day?
It depends. I'm not sure. I know that it's impossible to call him down in the way that you call Luau down. It won't come. There's people that have said that they've tailored rituals to do this, but it's all dead air. He doesn't actually come. He doesn't actually manifest. There's no energetic feeling. It's dead ritual. He's just not listening at the minute. Whether he will come back or not, I don't know myself. I can't really speak for the creator of the Luau. However, I will pose an interesting premise that will, again, spin the Voodoo community a bit. If Bondier left mankind and went to do his thing somewhere else, this leaves the possibility for aliens in the Voodoo story. Because what's to say he didn't go and do the same thing somewhere else, but different? Yeah. I'm not one of these conspiracy nutters. I was just saying it's possible.
Oh, well, don't worry. Even if you were, you'd fit right in here. So
something else somewhere else. It is possible that he could have gone and done. Because if at first you don't succeed, you try again. Yeah, he could have gone and tried again. I'm not saying there are aliens or anything like that, but I'm saying it's possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
Well, I mean, and then if you go by that, though, perhaps we weren't the first either. So
indeed, perhaps we weren't the first. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I kind of look at it like this. He's an artist, and sometimes, you know, you're not happy with something you make, you move on, try something else. You don't necessarily destroy the art, you're just not happy with it. But at the same time, I think there's still an appreciation for it because you can look back and see how you improved.
Well, they left the Luau to look after us for a reason, so they must care about us to some degree.
Yeah, little morons, they can, so, but it is something that's interesting thing about it. You get very philosophical with it, and of course everyone's brains will ooze out of their ears going down that route, but
Yeah.
but it's really interesting. So the afterlife with voodoo, that's something I don't really know about. Do you know anything about the afterlife, or have you been told anything? Well, you kind of seen it technically, but what can you share with us about it?
Well, the afterlife in Vodou is not in the Abrahamic sense. There's no heaven and there's no hell. Like the world of the Petrollua is not hell, and the world of the Radalua is not heaven. When you die in Vodou, it depends on how you've died and how your body is treated. If you die and you're loved and respected and you're buried ceremonially, you'll become the more, so the regular dead. Spiritually, from this stage, if you've acquired enough power and enough knowledge, you may have a chance to be deified, but you have to learn all lessons of all lives before you can become deified. Going down this path and failing can lead you to be slightly unhinged and end up being a sub-Luau kind of spirit called a Jab, which can be a very nasty spirit, similar to a demonic jinn. If you can again come back as an ancestral spirit and give people advice and things like that, you can just be just a dead person in the world of the dead. If you are unclaimed, so say you disappeared and nobody's done a service for you because they ain't given up hope of finding you, or you were an utter scumbag and nobody has come to your service, or you were that bad you didn't get a service, in fact your body was defiled and fed to animals or something stupid like that, you become a Gede, so the unclaimed dead. Now, that word's very similar to you because people think Gede lords, but they're not. The Gede lords are the people responsible for the unclaimed dead because them lot be rowdy. So the Gede lords have to look after the unclaimed dead because they're like Al Capone in the Roaring Twenties kind of thing. It's that sort of vibe. It's this sort of dress. It's sort of cigars and Tommy guns kind of thing going on down there. It's that sort of vibe, kind of wise guy kind of atmosphere. So the Gede lords, even though they're responsible for all the dead, they are primarily responsible for the Gede. So these are the different stages of death in Vodou. It's very, 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 very unlikely that people will become a Luau. There's a few ways to do it. Enough power can be built up through a death that's bad enough, such as Magnet Piatesh. Enough power can be built up through enough reverence, love, and respect, such as Balon Samdi. Or you have to build that power yourself and demonstrate to the other Luau you have learned all lessons from all lives.
That must take a while.
Yeah, this is why a lot fail and end up being being insane, because they're not content with just being a morse, so they just want to go after the power. A lot of them achieve the power, achieve a lot of wisdom and knowledge and stuff, but they don't learn the lesson. I think somewhere in front for the power, they lose sight of what it is, and then that becomes another lesson that they never learn or something. I don't know. But I know that Jabba is incredibly dangerous. A lot of them are sub-Luau and jealous because they can't become Luau.
Okay, so watch out for them.
Yeah, you can work with some of them. Some of them have accepted it and just be like, yeah, I'll still work with you. Just give me offerings and shit, and I'll do this for you.
Okay,
but
so
the thing is, you still have to bind them because you can't trust them, because even the ones you can't work with will lie to you and tell you that they can, so that they can be insidious in your life.
Okay, so it's one of those things. Keep your guard up. don't necessarily lower it, but that could be said for just about everything as well. You can work with them, but don't lower that.
Oh, this is a dangerous system. Yeah. This is like going on a pogo stick in a minefield. Yeah, if you don't have a metal detector, you're fucked. It's a dangerous system. This you got no way to where to step.
That is interesting. So there's no reincarnation in voodoo.
Not really. No, there's spiritual reincarnation, but there's no physical reincarnation. Once the body's dead, the body's dead. I guess there's like I says, there's a slim chance for deification, but as for physical reincarnation, no.
Wow. So it's just this one life, live it to the best of your ability, and that's it.
Don't necessarily mean life's over though, because you come back as a spirit. You can still, in some cases, you can still interact with the community or travel to other communities and interact with them. It just means your physical corporeal existence no longer exists, and you can't live life as a human in the way that you do now. So you can't go get a burger or have a joint or whatever, but you know, you might find other joys in that specific existence.
You know, this is terrible. This says a lot about me, but when you said you can't have a burger, that just broke my heart so hard.
No, I was thinking the same thing as well. I was thinking, why am I even trying to play that off as a good thing?
So that broke my heart. But it is interesting to know, though, and you know, and you know, I'm learning so much that I had no idea about, and I appreciate you, you know, sharing so much with us. So aside from breaking my heart about a burger, I am curious about this, and this is really my own curiosity. And since it's my show, I can say me, I. What family of Loa do you think I would be good with? Like I would connect with? Out of curiosity, if you can get that.
Well, it depends. There's a specific process you can go through to be read for your who your father tet and who your met tet is, but that doesn't necessarily mean just because they're your father tet or they're your met tet that you're going to be specifically working with that particular family all the time. There are certain things Mambos and Hungans can do that Bokors can't. And it's a part of the Orthodox religion. And reading your Met-Tet and your Fave Tet is one of the things that's only permitted to be done by the Orthodox religious Mambos and Hungans. It depends on what path you'd really look at walking. The path of Sampuel, so the path of Bokor, may sound quite selfish when you look at it through modern eyes because it's the path of wealth, of power, of knowledge, of growth. Whereas the path of the Hungan or the Mambo is the path of service to the spirits for the benefits that they will bring you, for the blessings that they will bring you in their life. Money comes into it as a necessity because everyone needs money to live, and if that's the only skill you've got, you're going to sell it. But it's not necessarily like the path of the Bokor is wealth is one of the things that we generally go for. So it depends on what your philosophical bend is as a person. Because, I mean, everybody likes to say, oh, well, you know, I'm not all about money and that. I'm all about the things that matter in life and stuff like that. And, well, everyone likes to say that until you're starving.
Well, I'll tell you now, I'm very different. I tell everyone I like money and I want money. So I can openly admit that. I have no problem with it.
So the path of the Bokor is like about money, but it's also not just about wealth. It's about power and about spiritual progression. There are certain things on the path of the Bokor that are forbidden in the path of the Hungan or Mambo. One of the things I made reference to before we started this particular call, when I made reference to the sacrifice situation that's been going on, that's forbidden. There is and I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, and I implore people not to try this or do this or contact anyone in relation to this at all, just so we don't get shut down. But there is a process, and it's denied by most of Haitians, but there is a process in Vodou where you can take a real bad person, like a rapist or a paedophile, to a Bokor, and they will perform a certain ceremony on them where they will sacrifice them, and they will trade their essence with the Luau for specific things and stuff like that. That can't be done by Hungans or Mambos. In fact, it's forbidden in the practice. But like I said, in the path of the Bokor, that's about acquiring power. So what the Bokor would swap that essence for was some sort of spiritual power or gift, or even standing with the spirits to make the work manifest quicker so they can get more customers in. It depends what the Bokor needs at that time, but there are certain things that Bokors do to boost their status, their power, their wealth, and everything that are forbidden in their religion.
So that is good to know.
I don't do that. I don't chop people up and sell them. I mean, I'm completely against paedophiles, and given half the chance, I probably would, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I got you. Don't worry. Disclaimer: Ed does not want you to go out and chop some folks up, and you can think about it. Just don't do it. uh, so okay, and this was from a few years ago now, but I was watching something on YouTube. My cat just farted. Good Lord, that was loud. I'm sorry, it caught my attention. um, but I was watching something on YouTube a few years ago, and they were showing a ceremony, voodoo ceremony or ritual. This was from Hades, and they did something that I've never seen before. So apparently, when a Lua comes, they call it riding you, or at least they do. I don't know if that's the proper term or not, but this was for Mama Brigitte, and they got hot peppers, like insanely hot peppers, and they rubbed it on the woman, her between her legs and stuff like that. Like, and that was the test to see if it was really Mama Brigitte. And I think it was. The woman didn't react. It was just like, hey, just dancing and everything. And I want to know, have you ever done a ritual or a ceremony like that?
I've worked with hot peppers before, but that was a fete. And yeah, that sounds 100% like it was bona fide Maman Brigitte. Maman Brigitte, like Baron Samedi, likes piment. Piment is a type of drink where you cut up 21 hot peppers and put them in some rum. It's also nicknamed Haitian tear gas. But they also like to consume the peppers as well. They absolutely love hot stuff, yeah? And indeed, one of the ways to prove possession that the Luau do are things that would cause us excruciating pain. The reason they do this to the body is because, obviously, if they're enduring it, it's the Luau and not the person. I've seen a lot more insane than peppers rubbed on the private parts. I've seen an African Petrollua called Koku start slicing at the guy's arm that he was possessing with a machete, and the congregation have to stop him before he dismembered the dude. I've seen people eat glass. I've seen people pick up red hot coals from the center of the fire in their hand while it's burning and blistering their hand, and put it in their mouth and chew it like eating crisps.
Wow.
And there'd be like bits of fire falling out of their mouth and stuff. This is a sign of possession. It's the Luau demonstrating this person's not faking it. I'm in their body. They cannot be harmed right now.
Wow.
It's 50-50 about whether you count it as cannot be harmed, though, because it does scar. So it scars and leaves physical marks. But the horse, which is what the technical term for the possessed that's been ridden is called, doesn't feel it, and doesn't really feel it afterwards in the morning. The stages of possession in Vodou go from being mounted, which are violent convulsions when the Luau's trying to control your body spiritually. Your spiritual self resists. The stronger your spiritual self, the harder time you're going to have, because the Luau's going to get hold of you eventually, so you're going to have to give up eventually. But the stronger your spiritual self is, the more you fight. So this can cause death. In certain cases, such as Met Agwe and Met Carfu, extremely powerful Luau have caused convulsions that have caused things such as severed tongues or fractured skulls or all sorts of nasty injuries that have caused the person to sadly die. But the process of them getting hold of you is called mounting, the most dangerous process when the convulsions happen. A good congregation should grip you when this is happening and get hold of you to make sure you don't hurt yourself. Once you're being ridden, you have been mounted. You are being ridden. You are now a horse. Like I said, anything that happens to you while you're in that, anything you do or say or is done or said to you, you will not remember. This is why I call out a lot of people who say in the community that they have been possessed by a demon, and then they go and write a book on it or do an hour YouTube video on it, because they haven't. Right? Either they had a GoPro set up and they're not sharing the footage with us, yeah, or they had a recorder set up and they're not sharing the recording with us, or they haven't, and they just made it up. Because when you are possessed, yeah, it's like an old VCR, yeah. Someone has taken your tape out, put the Luau's tape in, and pushed record. Your tape's on the floor, ain't recording shit, so you ain't seeing shit or remembering shit because the tape's blank. If you understand that analogy, this is what being fully possessed is like. Now, I do give a bit of leeway to some of them who think that they've been fully possessed because I've seen them in their practices. They are indeed not fully possessed, but they are channeling and probably think they are fully possessed because they can feel and hear and experience the demon's influence, but they're still in a modicum of control of themselves physically. Being fully possessed, you are not. Literally, you are not in control of yourself at all. In fact, your face changes as well,
And I've
and that
I've uh, I've seen that actually. I've seen that happen with people where it's just like, whoa, you're someone else. You're not. And I've heard that too. And it's so weird when it happens because, it should be physically impossible. And yet here it is. So,
some of
oh,
the proofs I think of them that they're possessing you is to do stuff like that. I think it's to
mm,
show you we're actually here. Luar as well, they possess over a blanket area. This is why I have a huge dog cage. I have 3 small dogs, but I've got a huge dog cage because when I do work, the dogs go in the cage. Because Luar don't just possess who's doing the work, they possess any living damn thing in the area. So it's best to cage your animals.
okay. So two things real quick. One, you guys just saw a pop up there. That's the first time this freaking thing, you can't see it, Ed, but they did. That's the first time this freaking thing just said someone subscribed to the channel. I've had it for about 6 months now. So thank you. I didn't see who subbed, but thank you for subbing. Finally, it works. And
Thank you.
the second thing is Marius has another question for a darn good question, and he would like to know if since it's a full moon tonight, is there anything in voodoo with the lunar phases?
Well, as a Bokor, we do work as and when we need to when we need. We don't follow lunar cycles or calendars or the day of Jupiter for money work or whatever. We don't follow that. Um, on days where the veil is thinner than others, that's generally your best time to do work that's going to involve a physical manifestation in this world. And for that kind of work, I would recommend working with the dead. And the reason I recommend that is the world of the dead is the closest spiritual world to ours. In fact, it overlaps ours. So their manifestations are extremely quick and extremely potent. So if by the lunar phase being what it is means the veil is thinner, go for it. Work with the dead. But unfortunately, I'm not an astrologer and my practices don't require me to follow the lunar phase, so I wouldn't really know. In the Orthodox religion, there may be set rules, but Bokors are very much taught do as you need when you need. There are
Okay.
certain rules we do follow and certain rules we don't follow, and if there are consequences for not following them, we take them.
Okay. So it sounds like there is a freedom that you have because Bokors, like you said, you'll work with the Petrollua. And you know what? I probably should have asked this earlier at the top of the show, but the families, let's see, we have well, who are here again, you're the expert. Who are the families that most and we'll say Ungan slash Mambos and Bokors work with? Who are they?
Well, Hungans and Mambos would primarily work with Lua or Nagolua. Nagolua are like benevolent warriors. They're lethal, don't get me wrong. They'll rip you a new one if you upset them, but they're benevolent, largely gentle giants. Like Ogun Farai, the chief of all warriors. He's like a big green mile motherfucker, but he's really, really, really benevolent and protective, and he's a pretty cool guy, to be honest with you. They generally, Mambos and Hungans generally work with those. Some of them will work with some aspects of Petrollua, and some of them will work with some aspects of Gede, but traditionally it's usually Rada. Whereas Bokor, primarily Gede, but other than that, any damn spirit they need, whether it's Vodou or not. Bokors are encouraged once they've learnt their Vodou path to go out there and learn other people's paths and apply it to their own. Amalgamate their spirit, other people's spiritual practices into ours. Remember, ours is the path of not just wealth, but pursuit of power through knowledge. If we were to stick in our own systems and stay in our own lane, pursuing that knowledge would limit what we could achieve. So we have to be out there and be diverse and things like that, which is why we don't follow the orthodox things. So with regards to lunar phases, there probably is in the orthodox way of things. But to a Bokor, if someone was to pay me to do money work tonight, then I'm doing money work tonight.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Yeah, if the price is right, I'll do it. That's simple.
Well, you do it as you need, when you
Yeah.
need, as you need, and when you need. There are no specific days not to do a specific kind of work because it offends a certain lure. There are certain things you can't do on certain days. For example, if you are married to a lure, you can't have sexual intercourse with your human partner or another spirit on their day of the week or their feast day, because this is counted, or in front of their altar, because this is counted as cheating.
Okay, so I didn't know that you can actually marry Loa. I did not know that. So, for example, let's say someone marries Baron Samedi and his day is what is it, Saturday?
Saturday.
So, theoretically, like having any type of sexual relations with someone in the flesh, big no-no.
Yeah. It can cause violent consequences to the
Oops.
partner as well as to the person who has pledged themselves to him. Again, if they do it on his feast day as well, which is the 2nd and 3rd of November, the Days of the Dead, again, big no-no. If they were to do it in front of his altar, again, big no-no. It's seen as incredible disrespect. It's their version of adultery.
Okay.
They will harm you for this as well, and they have harmed people for this. Or sometimes, depending on the temperament of the lure, they've gone a bit bitter and harmed pets or something. Well, depends.
Well,
It depends who it
that.
is and what's happened. But yeah, certain people have scorned certain lure before and ended up with dead dogs floating in the
Oh,
swimming pool.
that's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
So, have you ever made Loa mad or angry, upset at you?
No, I've made simple mistakes on work before and been taught silly little lessons. But other than that, I've not gone fully enraged one to the point where it's wanted to punish me and attack me. I wouldn't be here if I did.
Okay, and but why are the consequences? Why do they seem so harsh? I mean, just for messing up. Do you know why that is?
Because witchcraft's supposed to be the craft of the wise. Yeah. Originally, traditionally, these spirits were served by the ruling priest classes of the tribes. Yeah. They weren't served by normal people. They were served by people that were of noble blood and had been trained and taught this shit all their lives. You're supposed to stand in front of them and know exactly what you're talking about and exactly what you're doing. If you don't, then they get angry. They're not all like that though. Like, for example, Papa Legba, easy going. So I fucked up my road opening. I made him his candle, yeah, and I put so much road opening on that candle. When I lit it, it turned into a fireball, yeah. But it was cool. It still opened my roads, yeah. Bow and Samdi, I made a mistake as a rookie and drew his veve wrong, yeah. The work didn't manifest, and I had to do it again for the client. That was about it. But as far as Petrollua goes, I don't know. I've never dared. I've not been as complacent as to make a mistake or do anything wrong with a lure that's tempers that bad it can go from placid to lethal in the time it takes me to say it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely want to be on your P's and Q's for that. But it is interesting though that some of them are just like, it happens. Papa Legba especially, would you say he is perhaps the best Loa to try and communicate with if you're just entering into voodoo?
Yeah. Yeah, he is a Luau that is, as far as the Orthodox religion as well, is okay to speak to you whether your roads are open or not. So a lot of people begin by speaking to Papa Legba. A good way to start is to build a relationship with him. So to build him an altar and start giving him actions to grace. His days are Monday. The candles he likes are red and black. He likes rum. He likes baked goods. He likes apples. Cowrie shells are sacred to him. Likes dogs. Yeah. So there's a few ideas of sort of shit you can give him there. Yeah. Action de grace is basically giving him offerings every Monday. Start by doing that. Giving him offerings every Monday. This is for you, Papa Legba. Just I want you to be in my life and that. Once you feel confident, do the road opening with it. Once the road opening's done, your Met-Tet and your Fave-Tet will approach you. When this happens, do not shit yourself, but do not be stupid and start making dumbass demands and questions of them. If they think you're mocking them, they will punish you or they will go away and not come back.
And who are some no, just like, no, you don't work with this person. Just don't do it.
If you're not someone like myself, stay away from Marinette. Metcalf Hill you have to be introduced to. Whether your roads are opened or not, another person like myself has to introduce you to him. Bakulu Baka, I can't even approach.
No, he scares the living daylights out of me. Just
the Congo Luau. They're crazy in the Congo,
Yeah.
He's a Congo Luau, the eater of men's bones. To work with him, he has to approach you, because if you approach him, it's dinner time. Yeah, but he's got a certain itinerary of people that he can work with and approach. He was bound like Marinette by the Luau, but his chains were a lot thicker. They will not let you unchain him, because if you unchain him, he will unleash fuckery and eat people. Probably everyone he's not supposed to work with, which will probably leave about 20 people left in the world.
Okay.
He's the stuff nightmares are made of. He's like a cannibal on steroids in reality, to be honest. In fact, not steroids, he's like a cannibal that smoked way too much weed because he's obviously super hungry, isn't he?
Hungry, and it must have been the bad stuff. No, but he is one that he scares me. It's just that simple. He scares me, and I see these people on YouTube doing these challenges, like, saying say Bloody Mary 3 times in a mirror, and they're saying his name 3 times in the mirror. It's like, man, you guys are playing with fire.
Yeah, luckily for them, the chains that bind him prevent mundanes accessing him.
Okay.
There's a specific right and way to call him. If you're supposed to work with him, it's awesome. If you're not, nice knowing you.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there are people that have done it. They've even gone to the places in the Congo to summon him where he's from, and they've never been heard from again. Whether they were got by cannibals in the Congo or animals or Bakulu, I don't know. But it's funny how people that aren't supposed to work with him approach him and disappear.
Yeah. No, thank you. So, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about that now, and that's terrifying. That is absolutely.
Some of the Luau turn out to be like how Hollywood portrays demons, don't they?
Yeah, just some of them. But then, speaking of Hollywood, because Hollywood they exaggerate a lot. But one thing that is popular in voodoo, thanks to Hollywood, are voodoo dolls. Human effigies, they're very well known. They're mostly more so used in European folk magic, though, than I thought voodoo. But are voodoo dolls a thing? Is that legit?
Oh yeah, Puppet Works legit, but Hollywood's bullshit, if you want to rhyme it. So I'll talk you through how puppets work. So the traditional cloth puppets, what you see, are just like the dolls that are made and the stuffed, yeah. Baneful magic ones, and this is where the pins come from, yeah, right? This is a bit of voodoo knowledge that actually leaked out, and fucking, I don't know how Hollywood got hold of it, but they did, yeah. The pins aren't exactly what you think. If you stick a pin in a place, that doesn't happen. Like if I was to stick a pin in a dollar view now, you wouldn't just go on camera. That's not happening. Yeah, there are reasons we put pins in certain places, and there are certain places we put them, yeah, for the following reasons. One in each eye, to prevent you being seen, so to prevent the person seeing you're working against them. One in the heart, the healing center to stop them spiritually recovering. They're the only pins we put in. And we bind their hands, their feet, and their neck with red cord. This is to astrally symbolize them being bound to prevent them striking back, even if they do find out what's happened, because they might not see, they might be told. So, you've got to cover all your bases. And this is a black poppet. Black poppets can either be burned or buried. They work in two different ways. If you burn it, it hits you like a hex. Because it burns, it's over quick. So it'll hit you quick, but it's gone quick. That's your car crash. That's your broken leg. That's your crazy cunt shooting you in the street. Yeah? If you bury it, because it decays into the earth slower, yeah, because it's all reminiscent with death. So it decays into the earth slower, yeah? It affects you slower, yeah? So the things will manifest slower. These are your diseases that cause you that bullshit pain you've been feeling for 6 months that you hate, or you've been throwing up all the time, or even potentially terminal diseases. Things that go on for a longer time and take a longer time to go away or don't go away, depending on how you dispose of it. So they're negative poppets. There's another negative poppet, yeah? E.A. Coettin tried to pinch this idea and become a living god, but he doesn't actually know how to do it, so he just described the physical process of the disposal of the item rather than the actual item itself. But you make a clay golem with a chicken's heart. The chicken's heart's where the heart is in the clay golem, yeah? You set it up on your altar and you call the Luau and you say, I want you to replicate what I'm about to do to this doll, to the person, yeah? You christen the doll with holy water in the person's name, yeah? Right? So this is how you target it. You christen it in the person's name with holy water. And then you fuck the doll up. You smash it, destroy it, stamp it, piss on it, spit on it, whatever you want to do to disrespect and harm that doll, yeah? Right? Scream at it if you want. What I find is if it's one of my enemies, yeah, I scream what they've done to me and why the fuck they're getting fucked up, and I let it all out on them, let the rage out on them while I'm doing it, yeah? And then you scoop up all the remains, making sure you get every piece of that heart you can find, because you need to burn it. And you burn it, yeah? Specifically, the heart piece needs to be destroyed the most, because that's the healing center again. You burn it, yeah? This can cause death. There are positive poppets. Positive poppets are nice, unless you don't feed them. Positive poppets can be done for any reason. Love drawing, protection, healing, prosperity, you name it. It's just a different color and different herbs. There's stuff with certain herbs. And how I do it is I prepare the poppet, I send it to the client, and then I give the client the instructions to take a piece of their fingernail, a piece of hair, and blood, 3 drops of blood, and they put it in the poppet, yeah? And then the poppet's already empowered with the essence of the Luau. The essence of the Luau and the essence of the person combine and create a spiritual servitor, like a spirit, like a hybrid, almost child between you and the Luau kind of thing. You wake it up by speaking to it and feeding it rum. So, I don't know, in the case of protection, come forth, my friend, and be my shield. Shield me from harm and all that's bad. Say it 3 times while you're feeding it rum, yeah? Feed it every 2 weeks, no longer than every 2 weeks. You can feed it more regular, but don't make it work any more than 2 weeks, because it'll start to die. And if it starts to die, it thinks, my daddy don't love me no more, I'm going to fuck him up. And that's what it does. So there are positive poppets as well. I wish they worked like in Hollywood, though. But to be honest, if they did, a lot of certain people that we know, that we both know, that are well known, they wouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah.
If they did. The puppet work I've done on certain said people's already manifesting beautifully. So if it was like Hollywood, well, they'd all be missing limbs and stuff.
Now, okay, so theoretically, let's say, this is just my mind at work now. Let's say you create a puppet and it's for prosperity. Would it work if you get some money and you pin it to its hand and say, this is for prosperity, this is to bring money to you? Would that work, or would it mess things up and burn it?
It can do, yeah, because you don't burn the puppet. For a positive puppet, you don't burn. You regularly feed it. So yes, it can do. It might be better, though, to place a magnet inside the puppet and put a magnet to the hand, because magnets spiritually stand for attracting things.
Yeah.
Pinning something to something keeps it there So if you were to pin paper money to it, it'd mean the person would find it easy to hold on to money. But a magnet and a coin would mean money's attracted to it. Or you could do both, I guess. You could do a magnet in one hand with a coin and a pin a dollar to the other hand, so it's attracting money and finding it easy to hold on to money.
Yeah, I will be doing that
Money,
tonight.
especially American money, is very spiritually symbolic. And the dollar's got all sorts of symbology all over it that's incredibly symbolic. But it's incredibly symbolic in the kind of energies you want for prosperity. But not only that, gold is incredibly. If you want prosperity, serve Shango and give him gold, because he'll give you money. Pyrite as well. I will try to think of what it was called. Fool's gold are popping into my head. Pyrite, if you can't quite afford your 25 carat bars, if you're not hefting around gold bricks like Goldfinger, they'll accept iron pyrite. For some reason, you can offer spirits fool's gold for prosperity. To me, if you were trying to give me fool's gold for prosperity, I would see it as an insult and give you the back of my hand. But most spirits, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's gold. Yeah, it's cool. I'll give you the money." So yeah, you can.
Maybe it's the symbology of it.
Symbology,
it's
the spiritual energy resonance. It resonates on an extremely similar frequency to gold. That's what it is. When we look at the spiritual science of things, it's resonance. That's why.
Okay. Now, here's something I'm very curious about. Because you mentioned, of course, being a Bokor several times, you're about learning. You're about gaining power through knowledge, and you are trying to make some money as well, because you have to make a living. So what if someone were to they need your services, but they can't fully afford it? Would you accept, like, okay, just give me half now, and whenever I do whatever and it comes through, you pay me the other half? Would you do something like that? And I'm assuming there would be consequences if you were to make that deal and they don't hold up that end of the bargain. Oh, someone must have done this.
No, yeah, it's happened. It's happened a few times. Yeah, because myself, I do like to make what I need, but you'll see from my prices, I'm not all about money. I'm actually, even though I've got a quite tough exterior, I'm actually quite soft with certain people and quite feeling with certain people. For example, I've got two clients now that are in that exact, well, not that exact, but a similar position, because they're not going to pay me on manifestation. They're going to pay me next month, because the pound is stronger than the dollar. Yeah. So my clients are American. So my clients are like saying, "How much for this?" And I've told them in pounds. Yeah. And they've gone away in their mind and thought that that's in dollars, and it's not, it's in pounds. Yeah. So they've come to buy it, and I've gone, whoa, brother, you're short. And they've gone, "Oh shit, it's pounds, isn't it?" And I've gone, yeah, but it's all right. I'll just do your work and pay me next month when you get paid again. So yeah, I will do. And I do payment plans as well. Payment plans work one of two ways. Regular customers that I trust and have been with me for ages, yeah? First payment, put your deposit down, I'll do your work for you. Right? If I don't know you, though, your first time you've come to me, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to have paid it off. You can pay it off in as many payments as you like, but you're going to have paid it off if you want me to do the work first, because I ain't ever met you before. I've never done business with you before. But if you build a good relationship with me and prove to me you can trust me, then yeah, I do things on credit. And when they don't pay, it goes badly for them. Yeah.
Now, what's that mindset, though, to where it's like, evidently they're coming to you for a reason. They believe that what you do works. Why, oh why would you not hold up your end of the deal? Like, who does that? Like, why would you do that?
I don't know. I think it's because when I try and do somebody a favor, it's when I usually step away from my regular clientele. My regular clientele, and this is why I've stayed in business despite being hated by the whole occult scene pretty much. My regular clientele are not from the left-hand path of the occult scene. They're lawyers, they're cops, they're DAs. There's a DA in Texas, for example, that I do a lot of work for. There's certain people, even certain ones, have had me sign non-disclosure agreements so that I cannot divulge who they are. So it's not our kind of people that come to me for work, and it's when I step into doing somebody a favor. And usually as well, yeah, right, I end up looking like a bastard trying to be an angel. Yeah, because it'll be somebody that's hard up, going in a bad situation. They ain't got much money, so I've already gone in and said, instead of £200, I'll charge you £100. And they'll go, oh, but I've only got 20 now. And I'll say, well, you give me that now and I'll do it for you. And then you just give me the rest, £20 a week or something. And they go, yeah. So I do it. And then they flake in it. And then you're chasing them like a drug dealer. Where my money? Where my money? Where my money? And then here comes the blocks and the stupid 25-page messages that I'm an extortionist and a bully and I'm only interested in money. And it's like, no, wait a minute. You paid me £20, motherfucker. The work cost me £50 to do. Where's the rest of my pee? I need my bread and my profit. What's going on?
Well, you sounded like, properly British right there.
Evil, man.
You went very, you went totally British. But I get what you're saying, though. I get it. We're gonna start wrapping up, but before we do, what is something that you would like people to know about voodoo as a whole that is just you don't think people quite understand?
Vodou itself is a close practice. I'm sad that it's a close practice, but it's not close to your race. Yeah, right. You just need to find somebody reliable who's willing to teach you. Right. Myself, I do an entry to root work course. Root work conjures magic and wonders. Entry to root work course. You ain't going to learn no complicated stuff like where I've got to, but you're going to be on the path to learning that. I've got a book out there as well that will help you. And unlike other voodoo books, there's no spiritual traps and nothing written wrong in it to trip you up. It is literally what I know from a beginner's point of view. There's bits that aren't in it because Mama Midnight didn't authorize me to give mega dangerous stuff away. Yeah. And I've got to respect the house. But Vodou itself is not close to everyone. Yeah. You don't have to be a certain race to practice it. You just have to find reliable teachers and reliable sources. That's all. And proof. I mean, I get manifestations. Otherwise, if what I'm saying is not true, every single one of my customers, and I've had a few hundred, they almost been mental. Do you know what I mean? And I can't find every crazy person on Facebook. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So it works. It's real, and just don't believe the bullshit you hear about it.
Okay. And if someone is interested in the services from the House of Smoke or you yourself, Papa Smoke, how would they go about that?
Contact us directly on Facebook, any of the members. There's numerous different systems. You don't have to work with myself. A lot of people find my personality a bit like to get on with. Absolutely fine. Got other people. We've got Lucifer. We've got his professional bookeria, Kate. We've got his professional hoodoo practitioner, Meg. We've got Dave, the Jinn guy. Do you know what I mean? For whatever sort of needs you probably have spiritually, we can probably help. Yeah. If you're willing to pay and listen to advice and actually look at things from a realistic perspective, right? Because we won't sell you bullshit. We're not about selling you dreams or selling you idiocy. We will help you achieve realistic goals and realistic dreams. Yeah. But we'll never lie to you to get a sale. So you can trust us. Just come to us if you need it. We're open and we're always open to people. Thing is, our slots fill up quite quick. So you're probably better coming to us as soon as you've got the idea. But the thing is, to book the slot, you need to pay. So if you've got the money and you've got the notion, come to us straight away because we fill up quick. Like, for example, today, tomorrow, Saturday, gone. Sunday's my next day. Where me personally. Other people, I can probably book you in with, but me, myself, not till Sunday now.
Okay. And your YouTube channel, Papa Smoke, you guys be sure to check it out. Go there. Lots of great information is dropped. I myself love it. So go there. Say hi too. Say Unexplained sent you. And also be sure to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. Ed, it was awesome having you on. And
it's been good.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us and letting us know what is what. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's been good.
So, and thank you guys for joining us as well and chatting away, and hope you all enjoyed. And with that said, remember guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and
Yeah.
tell them hi. Bye, everybody.